Welcome to First Words, striving to make God's Word your first priority today. Romans 5:12 through 14. Therefore, just as sin came into the world through one man, and death through sin, and so death spread to all men because all sinned. For sin indeed was not in the world before the law was given, but sin is not counted where there is no law. Yet death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over those whose sinning was not like the transgression of Adam, who was a type of the one who was to come. After describing the appalling sin and lostness of all mankind, Paul went on and revealed how Christ, by his justifying death on the cross, provided the way of salvation for everyone who comes to faith in God. Now, in this passage in Romans 5, the inevitable question that then arises is, how could what one man did at one time in history have such an absolute effect on mankind? Paul uses 4 arguments in this passage to help show how this could be. The first argument is that sin entered the world through one man, Adam. Adam, as the father of the human race, sinned. Every individual born from his seed is a sinner as well. Important to note here is that Adam is not the inventor of sin, because sin originated with Satan, for as he sinned from the beginning, according to 1 John 3:8. The sin that became a part of Adam's life is not a particular sin, but rather the natural propensity for unrighteousness. It was his sin nature that he would pass on to all mankind. The second argument is that death entered the world through sin. When Adam was created, he did not have death in the future, but as God had promised in Genesis chapter 2, when he sinned, death would follow. Paul reminds us in Romans 6:23 that the wages of sin is death. This has been so from the start. A person who does not become a sinner by committing sins, but rather commits sin because he is by nature a sinner. A person does not become a liar when he tells a lie. He tells a lie because his heart is already deceitful. Sin brings several kinds of death. First type of death is separation from God. Adam's sin brought spiritual death, a spiritual separation from God. A second death is physical death. It is an obvious death that is included. It means separation from other human beings. The third type of death is eternal death, as in Revelation 21:8 calls it the second death. This is eternal torment and eternal separation from God. A third argument Paul uses here is that death spread to all men because all sinned. Every man born will one day die because he's likewise a sinner, just as Adam. The fourth and final argument in this passage, history proves that death reigns over all men. From Adam to Moses, there was no law, yet man died. His sinful nature, not the law, made him subject to death. Adam's inherent sinful nature being passed on to all men is a type or illustration of why Jesus Christ, through his death, can bring salvation to many. I hope that as you realize your sinful nature inherited through Adam, you will put your faith in Jesus Christ for salvation today. Thank you for joining us at First Word.